Live with CDP, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast live on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, and on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and Anchor FM. Now here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live with CDP podcast on this Wednesday, August 17th, 2022, Season 4, Episode 23. This is actually my 188th episode of all time today. I'm looking forward to my guest today. He played in the Ontario Hockey League for 5 years as a defenseman with the London Knights, the Owen Sound Attack, and he finished his OHL career up with the Windsor Spitfires this year, helping them to a Western Conference championship, a 7-game series against Flint, which was exciting. And then they took on the Hamilton Bulldogs in an exciting OHL Finals where Hamilton won in 7 games. But I'm looking forward to speaking to Andrew about his hockey career and also in the Ontario Hockey League as well, and playing for 3 great franchises in the London Knights, the Owen Sound Attack, and those Windsor Spitfires as well. So just give me 1 second, guys, and I'm going to bring on Andrew, and we'll talk a little hockey with him as well. Good afternoon, or should I say good morning, Andrew?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
How's your summer going? I guess it's kind of been a short summer.
Yeah, it's been a different type of scenario with the season pushed back and obviously going to the finals with the Bulldogs. So a little different off season for myself here. Kind of had to adjust to it and quick turnaround for this upcoming season.
I was going to say, you didn't get the ending you wanted to your OHL career, but still getting to that OHL championship series and taking the Bulldogs to 7 games, tremendous season for the Windsor Spitfires. And what was that experience like playing in the OHL playoffs with Windsor and getting to the OHL finals against Hamilton?
It was honestly just super humbling and honored to just be that far later, like to get past all those teams was super difficult. Every team gave us really a good series all the way through. Flint was just right there with us the entire time, took them to game 7, luckily came out with the win. So it was honestly just an amazing experience. A lot of relationships were built, a lot of lifelong friends throughout the process, a lot of memories as well on the locker rooms, road trips. When you're in the playoffs, you get to go a little extra before the away game. So I know we had some great times at the hotels and some team meals that were delivered to us by the organization itself. So it was an amazing experience all around, from the organization to the relationships and lifelong memories with my friends that I made.
I was going to say, I was at game 5 in Hamilton between the Spitfires and the Bulldogs. I got to do some freelance media work, and I don't know if you've been up to that press box in the First Ontario Center, but that catwalk, that's kind of intimidating going up that.
Yeah, it's they had a professional team there forever, so it's got that they got a really big barn. It's kind of got that professional feel to it, kind of like in London with all the fans. And for that game 5 and 7, I'm pretty sure there were some fans in the upper bowl, so they opened it up compared to games 1 and 2. So it was pretty awesome to get that experience in their building. I know their fans were super loud and super passionate as well, so we definitely weren't let down in that sense of regard as well.
Well, luckily, one of the guys, Reese for the Bulldogs, showed me the back way to the press box, because I'm not a fan of catwalks and high heights like that. So, but I was going to say, a tremendous series against Hamilton, and I had one of the Bulldogs on my podcast on Monday, Ryan Humphrey.
Yeah, Ryan's a good friend of mine. We've known each other since he was about 5'8" and just a little guy. He played with my brother for Victory Honda for a couple years, so that's how I know him. And then me and him actually put together the PBHH Invitational with Brennan Hoffman and Ryan Beck as well. So that's kind of how we both put it together, through him playing with my brother, me knowing him for a very long time, being lifelong friends. So I couldn't be happier that the experience with the OHL Finals was, at the end of the day, it wasn't the experience. It wasn't the ending that I wanted, but I was happy for him and that he got a chance to move on to the Memorial Cup after a great season individually and as a team that he had with the Hamilton Bulldogs. So it was very excited for him.
And I was going to say he was from Northville, Michigan, which isn't far from my cousins. They live in Taylor, Michigan. And I guess I was reading up on you. You're from Columbia Station, Ohio. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, where's that in Ohio towards a major city?
West of Cleveland, about 25 to 30 minutes west of Cleveland. It's near, actually, I'm 10 minutes down the street from where the Monsters practice. They're it's called OBM Ice Arena in Strongsville. It's their practice facility. It's been my stomping ground since I was about 5. So I like to tell people it's my home rink and everything. So been around that atmosphere for a little bit since I've been little, and growing up here. Actually, the team I got to play for as a AA player up until I was about 10, 11 years old. I played AA with Dylan and Tyler Duke. Currently, Dylan Duke, drafted by the Tampa Bay Lightning, currently plays at the University of Michigan. Tyler Duke just went to Toronto Maple Leafs development camp, currently going to his first year at Ohio State. Also on that team, we had Shayla Edwards. She was my D partner. Actually, it's funny. We go way back, but she's currently playing for the University of Wisconsin, plays on all the U.S. women's national teams, and does all those events. So it's pretty funny that in a kind of a really small, tight community of AAA Strongsville Mustangs, we were called, or AA Strongsville Mustangs, we were called, that we had kind of these players that came out of the system and had very successful careers.
One of my friends' late husband, Fred McLeod, who was a well-known sports guy in Cleveland, called the Cavalier games. I believe he was from that area as well.
Yeah, it's a very nice part of town. A lot of the Browns and Guardians now, Monsters. They all we know a lot of people that live in this area. I think my brother always spots them driving down the street as well.
I was going to ask you, as a Canadian, obviously, and I've been covering the OHL as a fan for 40 years. I always knew about New York State and Michigan and Massachusetts. Is Ohio now starting to become more of a hockey state a little bit more?
I believe so. We have a group of professional players and Division I players that train out of here in Cleveland specifically. We have an ex-professional. I train with 2 different people here. I train with Russ Sankiewicz, played for the Cleveland Monsters, had a great professional career. And then Kenny Ryan as well, had a great professional career, actually a former Spitfire as well. So I train with both of those guys currently throughout the week numerous times. And both of them just honestly have helped me grow in my game to where it is now. And I can't thank them enough. But a couple of notable names in the group are Charlie Gerard, plays for Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Tim Gettinger played a couple games with the New York Rangers, signed with them, played for Hartford Wolfpack majority. We have a couple new signees. Walker Summer just signed with Wichita. Adam Scheel currently plays for the Dallas Stars. Affiliate Texas. Justin Wells just signed in the East Coast League. So there's a lot of guys turning pro here out of Division I specifically. So it's very, very exciting time to be in Cleveland and be a hockey player for sure. Our group's getting bigger and better as the time rolls on.
I was going to say it's great that you have a team in Ohio again with the Columbus Blue Jackets, but did your dad ever tell you about the Cleveland Barons? They had an NHL team in Cleveland in the late 70s before they ended up moving to Minnesota, I believe, in the 79, I guess.
Yeah, they were the Lumberjacks actually when my dad played for them back in the day, and that's how I grew up here, and that's why my roots are here in Cleveland. That's how I met my mother. So I live here with my mother in Cleveland, and that's the old backstory. Played for the Lumberjacks and met my mom here.
Great sports city, and I've been to Cleveland myself. They love the Browns, they love the Guardians, they love the Cavaliers. But I was going to ask you, out of those 3 major sports, which one is number 1?
I've actually never been to a Cavaliers game in my life, so
Okay.
got to be last probably. For me, I think the best experience I've had was going to a Browns game with my buddies. Got the full experience 2 years ago, kind of before COVID hit. Uh, we ended up going to the Ravens versus Browns game, so Lamar Jackson was in town. It was super fun. I'm pretty sure the next day he was Sports Center top 10. He was like 4 of the plays, so it was a pretty exciting game for sure that we got to watch Baker Mayfield in the lineup as well. So 2 highly touted players. It was really fun. But I go to Guardian games all the time with my buddies as well, and those are as equally as fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm a Tigers fan, by the way. Tigers, Red Wings, Pistons, University of Michigan Wolverines. So I'm assuming you're an Ohio State Buckeye guy.
Yes, I am.
No worries, no worries. You're cool. I was gonna say, and do you think Cleveland, yes or no? Do you think Cleveland nowadays could support an NHL team if the NHL decided to put one back in the city?
I think it could be a possibility for sure. I know. I mean, with the Cavaliers, Guardians, and Browns, those places are packed. I know the Monsters growing up; that building would pack as well. I remember when forget what year it is, but it was when Zach Werenski came out of University of Michigan to play for the Monsters for their Calder Cup, and they ended up winning it that year. I remember going to a couple games as a little kid, and it was super exciting, super packed, and everyone around in the area was just super excited for another championship team, to be honest, and everyone was super excited. Just kind of had the parade and not just more atmosphere, more winning in the area, so everyone was excited.
I think that was the same year that the Cavaliers won their first championship, 2016, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it was a really big deal around town when LeBron came back. He's definitely someone like from Cleveland. He's just, if you think of anyone from Cleveland, that's probably the first person you think of. So
Or me being an older guy, I would say Jim Brown, the late, or not the late Jim Brown, but the great Jim Brown. But you're right. As of right now, any current athlete you think of Cleveland, it has to come to LeBron James. Do you think you'll ever come back to Cleveland one more time?
uh, I have no idea. I mean, it'd be crazy around here for sure again, and then he'd probably leave after a year. But I probably not. I'm guessing.
Hey, as for the Guardians, I'm still getting used to the name. They're actually having a pretty good season, and they're first in the AL Central. And Terry Francona has done a really good job with that team over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually a Chicago Cubs fan. Uh,
Okay,
why not? My mom's side of the family is from Chicago. Grew up there.
okay.
I played baseball my entire life growing up. I was holding a bat in my hand since I could. So, and my uncle Mike, actually was my baseball coach my entire life growing up. I played freshman year of high school, and then sophomore year I took off for hockey, and then junior year was my rookie year in the Ontario Hockey League with London, and actually I did my school online through Ohio. So we got swept in playoffs that year by Owen Sound. So our season was done early. So I actually came back and played baseball again for my high school here in Cleveland, and I was all county, all district. I batted like above 450, so it was really exciting. But my uncle was my baseball coach my entire life growing up, and he is a huge, huge Chicago Cubs fan. So the town I live in, Columbia Station, we were the Columbia Cubs. So it's funny. There was a rule in our town that our town colors green. So our high school, all our sports are green and white and black, and Cubs are blue and red. So all of our youth teams were green, and there was a rule that you had to be your town color. And he fought and fought, and we finally got the permission. We switched it to Columbia Cubs, and we were blue and red. So everyone knew who we were when we came into town. We were the only Columbia team that wasn't green, white, and black. So it was funny.
I was going to ask you this, Andrew. What position did you like playing in baseball, or did you have a number of positions that you enjoyed playing?
Uh, I was just shortstop my pretty much majority of my career growing up with baseball. And then as I got older, I kind of became a utility player in the sense pitch like guys would. So if our first baseman had a pitch, I'd go and play first base. If our center fielder had a pitch, I would go and play center field that game. Or if I had to pitch, I would pitch. If our catcher had to pitch, I'd catch. So in the sense of that, I kind of became just a utility player where whoever had to pitch that night, I'd play their position for the game.
Did you have a favorite baseball moment?
Yes. The first time, so forever, we were terrible when we first started, like kind of just like the bad news bears, so bad. And everyone was like, if we stick with it, we're gonna be a good team eventually. We had so many athletic kids on our team, and I mean, I was the height I am now as like as a 12-year-old. It was crazy, but we had so many athletic kids. My cousin played on the team, was just this huge hitter, putting it over the fence and stuff when we were like 12. But stuck with it, and like 5 years down the road, we won our first conference championship, and I just remember how excited we were as little kids running around the field. Like the team we beat, we went to the conference finals the year before, lost to them. The year before, we lost in like the semis, conference finals. So we finally got there. We finally won, beat this highly talented team in kind of the area, and it was just like the most excited. I think that's the first thing I've won outside of hockey, and it was just super excited. And my uncle was super happy, and it was just a really close family. Like when you're that age, you play baseball. You usually play your baseball game, and then it's the summertime, so you play your baseball game, and you're at someone's house right after having a nice bonfire barbecue. So it was like a family.
Okay, I was gonna say, and I played baseball too, but I obviously wasn't good enough to. I just played house league baseball, and I loved playing catcher and third base. Third base to me was my favorite position because it's called the hot corner, and that's where a lot of the action is. And catcher I like too because it was sort of like playing goalie in hockey, which I did as well.
Yeah, I caught catching's hard. It was really hard when I had to do it a couple of times. Third base, I played there quite a bit. I had a pretty good infield glove, so I would roam around the infield quite a bit. And then as I got older, I kind of learned how to play outfield. I could run really well. I was a pretty fast runner. I had a strong arm as well. So I remember one of our outfielders had to pitch, and our coach, my uncle, was like, "Well, who wants to go out there?" And I was like, "I'll do it, whatever." So I went out there and just gunning people down from the outfield. So it kind of stuck with it a little bit.
Yeah, do you play any other sports too? Like, are you into basketball, golf, and that?
I love golf. I love playing golf. I'm not very good, I'd say, right now, but I want to get good at it. I'm really trying to teach myself how to play, and really close to maybe paying for lessons here. But no, I play golf with my buddies all the time from back from high school. We actually have a group chat called Golf Gentlemen, but we just constantly, anytime we can find any time to go play around in nine, we're constantly going to play. And then my entire life growing up, I played football as well since I was like 5 years old. I played football. I played freshman year of high school, played varsity for my high school, and got to have that experience as well growing up, and was super happy that I got to experience that. It was something, it like the football atmosphere is very different. Like the pregame atmosphere is very different compared to hockey, and I would say it's a lot more energy, bumping around, banging heads, kind of just kind of being a lunatic, an animal, kind of just running into guys, headbutting guys and stuff before the game. It's constantly crazy, running through the field 5 times down and back before the game even starts. So I love that energy, and I try to bring it a little bit to hockey as well to kind of get myself and my teammates going. So I love that I got to experience that and that energy, and playing Friday Night Lights type of like you see in the football movie or the show,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So got to experience that, and it was super fun.
What position did you play in football? And by the way, the last time I golfed was 1994. And if you ever saw the movie Happy Gilmore, makes Happy Gilmore look like a good golfer. I was terrible. I wanted to use a hockey stick to hit that golf ball.
Yeah, sometimes I wish I had a hockey stick putter like Happy Gilmore. That'd be pretty cool. But I got to learn how to putt the proper way. But no, for football, I was inside linebacker and fullback on the offensive side.
What number did you like to wear in football?
Football is different. Yeah, you didn't really get to pick as much. I was 24, seventh, eighth grade when I kind of got the pick. And then high school, there was 24 was already taken. So it was between, I think I was like, I can't even remember what number it was. I think it was 32.
Good number. 30.
Yeah, I think I was 32 for football.
I think that's the number Jim Brown, Jim Brown wore for the Cleveland Browns back in the 60s. I know I'm dating myself. That's a good number. My favorite number is number 19 for Steve Yzerman.
Yeah. I usually do a number for someone, myself or someone in my family. So in London I was 24. It's my birthday. And then in Owen Sound I was 8. It's my birth month. And then in Windsor I was 5'8". My brother's month is May, and I'm August, so 5'8".
Okay, and that answers that question as well. Sandra Murray's watching, so actually I thought she was going to ask a question, but Ken Bateson, who's I guess a fan of the Flint Firebird, wants to ask you. I guess Andrew has to be a fan favorite. Great interview. Okay, Ken. Well, thank you, and Ken or Sandra, if you have any questions, feel free to ask as well. Sandra has been great, just very supportive of my podcast. I'm trying to get into radio at the age of 50. It's like sports. It's not always how you start a game; it's how you finish it, and that's what I'm trying to do in later in my life, is to do something I have a passion for. And I was going to say, this leads to my next question, Andrew. When did you decide that you wanted to pursue a career in hockey?
Whew, I remember kind of the entire month that I was deciding what I wanted to do, because I really loved playing football and baseball, and quite frankly, I was pretty good at both as well. I probably could have played 4 years of football, 4 years of baseball, and went the college route if I really wanted to, if I worked as hard as I did at hockey. So it was very hard for me. That's kind of why I went back and played that junior year, because I missed it, and I wanted to play. If I could, I wanted to play. So that's why. But it was after my freshman year of high school. Sophomore year was when I decided truly to put my mind towards hockey. At that time, I was living in Cleveland, but playing for Bell Tire out in Detroit, and playing varsity football and playing varsity baseball. So I thank my mom every day for this. So she would drive me from Cleveland 2 to 3 times a week out to Detroit to play for Bell Tire after I got done with my varsity football practices every day of the week. So I would, Monday through Thursday, you practice for football. Friday's the game. I'm pretty sure practices for Bell Tire were Tuesdays and Thursdays. So my coach, Cam Ward, was my coach for football. Or Jason Ward was my coach for football. Amazing person. I still talk to him every day. It's just an amazing influence on my life, and super passionate about everything that I'm doing right now with hockey. We actually play NHL all the time. He's very competitive, but he was super understanding with my hockey career, and kind of knowing it was what I was going to pick after the year concluded. So I got to miss Tuesday's football practice to go out to Detroit, so it was easier for my mom. And then Thursday, I would go to practice and leave like 30 minutes early to get out to Bell Tire practice. So that was my entire fall, winter year. And then kind of towards the end of hockey season, baseball would start. So it was the same idea, going right from baseball all the way to Detroit for hockey, and then coming back that same night. So I'd go to high school the next morning. So it was definitely a crazy year, but sophomore year was the year I moved out to Michigan, went to TPH Center of Excellence, and just kind of put all my chips into one basket with hockey. And I know my mom moved out there with me because we sat down and was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to make a career out of. So my dad paid for my TPH Center of Excellence. My mom paid for me to live out there, so I wasn't driving, so I had more time and energy to focus on hockey. So I played for Honeybaked U16 that year under Jason Deskins, and we had an amazing season, ended up getting drafted to London, and that's kind of where I'm at today.
I was going to say, Andrew, people don't realize, the fans don't realize how important parents are behind athletes, especially younger athletes, and also billet families too. So
Yeah, super
go ahead.
important. I mean, I talk to all my billet families that I've been through in my 3 teams every day. Love all of them to death. All of them have left a lasting impression on me and an influence on me, and I'm the person I am today because of each and every one of them. And for them to open their homes, like for all billets to open their homes to us, a random stranger coming into town that just wants to play for the local hockey team with dreams of playing the NHL some days, definitely takes a special individualized family, like a special family, to do that. So for them to, for people to open up their homes like that, it's very encouraging for me, and it's definitely the type of impression I want to leave on someone someday myself. Uh, for me, it's just kind of taking the shirt off their back and giving it to me type of expression. And I treat every one of them like it's family now. We're a family with all of them.
And I was gonna, and that's gonna lead to my next question in a minute. But Ken just wanted to say, Western Conference Finals was a great series. Congrats on a great conference finals, Andrew. Thanks, Ken, and Sandra Murray, who's one of my biggest supporters and really nice people. She's like an encyclopedia of knowledge and stuff like that. Your mother is a rock star. I can see where you get your dedication to excellence.
Yeah, she is a rock star for sure. A lot of I'm definitely I can say for sure that I wouldn't be where I am today without her. Um, there's nothing that she wouldn't have done for me or wouldn't do for me right now if it meant that I wanted to go out and do it. She's been the first person every time. If I said I wanted to do something, she's, how do we do this? When do we do it? How can I help you? My showcase, Mom, I want to put together a showcase for the OHL players because we lost the season. Okay, how do we do this? When are we going to do it? What do you need from me? Mom, we lost the season. I want to go overseas to Europe and play in Slovakia. How do we do it? When are you going to go? How can I help? So everything, just we did the Detroit drive for 3 years before I moved out there as well. We did it for 3 years. So like she quit her job so I could do it at the time because she couldn't work while I did it. And my stepfather of 15 years was providing for us as well, and super uh, love him to death. Like super helpful. Just anything I needed, wanted to help as well. Super supportive and behind me with all my dreams as well. So just can't thank my family enough from the top to bottom, from my grandpa, my uncle that I'm very close with. We actually live on the same property, 2 houses on the same property. So they've been to all my sporting events growing up, and my uncle was my football, baseball coach forever. So, and my
That's
dad,
awesome.
my biological dad is just, we call every day, twice a day. So just super close family. Him and my mom have a great relationship right now too. We joke around that they're best friends and everything because they are so supportive of me and my brother with everything we want to do, and my little brother as well.
That is awesome. I'm gonna get this other question. I'm gonna wait, but I wanted to ask you this one. I do this with all my guests too, Andrew. Um, Besides your mom, obviously she was an big impact in your life, and also your uncle. Did you have any other mentors when you were first starting up in sports?
Um, Honestly, I would say my dad as well. Like my dad was always there for me, always helping and giving me advice my entire life growing up through the sport. He's been through about every experience you could possibly experience in the game of hockey himself. So he had a lot of wisdom for me as well. But um, other than my uncle, like just family, all my family has helped me. And then for my coaches, I've had incredible coaches in all my sports. Jason Ward was my high school football coach. I talk to him every time I see him every day. I'm actually going to their first football game next Friday to support the younger class of kids coming up. Dan Durante was my baseball football coach as well. Love him to death. Great individual, a great human being. Just so many people in my life, so many coaches that I've had that are influenced me so much. Like this last year, I had great coaches in Owen Sound and Windsor, just lifelong friends. Can call or text any one of them as long as I want. Dale, Hunter, amazing coach. All of them have left a lasting impression on me and have influenced me to become a better hockey player, a better individual. Just everything I am today is just kind of taking bits and pieces from everybody.
Okay, I was going to ask you this question. We all know as fans and the physical aspects of being a hockey player and being training, but what are some of the mental aspects of being a hockey player, especially in the Ontario Hockey League?
It's very you're very regiment. Like you have a routine, and for me, I love it. I love having kind of the same plan or being planned out. So you definitely are on a very routine schedule come season time with practices, games, usually play on the same day. Like when I was in Windsor, home games are Thursdays, every Thursday, and Owen Sound was Saturdays. So you get pretty used to the schedule, and just mentally, it's just kind of just keeping yourself prepared, and you just want to keep pushing yourself every day. You just want to get better every day because in the end of the day, a lot of the main reason everyone goes to the OHL is you want to move on. You want to move past the OHL. You want a career in professional. So it's coming in and knowing that you got better that day, and then coming in the next day, you got better than yesterday. So that was kind of my mindset. I just wanted to get better every day because I just wanted to move on, and that's at the end of the day, that's why I chose the OHL. That's why I chose London in the end to go there, and I'm very happy with how it all worked out for me personally.
Because I was going to say, I guess Sandra Murray works with a number of clients and stuff like that as well, off the ice stuff. Because the fans don't see that you guys are hockey players, young athletes are human too, and there's other sides of the sport besides being on the ice. Off the ice is what I meant there too.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes not only hockey, I think, but into being an elite athlete. A lot of outside noise from people that you have to block out constantly, whether it's fans or critics or anything like that. You kind of just have to be in the moment with yourself. Be true to who you are as a person. Don't lose who you are. Have your morals, and just kind of have to have a confidence to yourself. Like if you see something or hear about something, it's just like it's in one ear out the other, or it's you brush it right off your shoulder because a lot of players that I've played with, especially in my career so far, have like the best kind of the ones that have been the best at that have had a confidence to them that's it's nothing can deter them from what they want to accomplish or what their dream is. So it's a lot of mental preparation and stuff like that, and just not only are you training your body, but you're training your mind. And nowadays, kids are getting younger and younger, and how fast the game's growing. So kids are nowadays doing that as well, learning what I have 12-year-olds learning what I'm learning now, and people who are 28 years old are probably saying the same thing about me. So it's just a constant cycle of how fast the world is moving, not only in everyday life, but in sports and athletics as well.
I was going to ask you this. I know as a camera operator for Rogers, it was tough with the pandemic because I love doing camera work for the Guelph Storm games at the Sleeman Center. How tough was the pandemic as an athlete and a hockey player, and how did you keep yourself physically and mentally ready to go when the OHL did come back into action?
For me, it was my mindset was this is a this is a bad situation, but what can I do? What in this situation? What can I control? How can I go above and beyond to make myself better, to be ready, to be better prepared, to I guess not lose that development step that I needed that year to move on to professional in the long run. So for me, it was just taking advantage of any ice, any workout I could, because you never knew when anything was going to shut down. And I personally was very fortunate living in the state of Ohio. We actually didn't shut down much. My skating coach, actually, I go and skate with Kim Muir out in Detroit, is my skating coach. And she actually came to Cleveland for 2 weeks because Michigan was shut down at the time, but Ohio was open. So I was like, well, come here and bring your Detroit clan out here with you to Cleveland. We can get 2 weeks going. So she did that, but I was very fortunate in that sense. And then for me personally, I think I was very happy with how I grew as a person individually, I believe, with how I believed I stepped up for my peers, starting starting the showcase with Ryan Beck, Brennan Hoffman, Ryan Humphrey. I was very proud of those individuals, everyone that came to my aid to help, and just everyone that put because it was volunteer. Anyone who helped, it was volunteer. I had nothing to give other than you're helping me, and I just can't appreciate it enough. So everyone did it out of the kindness of their hearts, and I can't thank anyone who helped in that regard enough. So for me personally, that was a little bit of stepping out of my comfort zone doing something like that. I've never been really kind of someone to do something like that, I guess. But I started with my letter to the league that I put out publicly. I think I was very nervous to do that and kind of how the reaction was with that. But all the reaction and feedback from my letter to kind of try to get the season going that was to the OHL and the government of Canada was all positive towards me. So that gave me a lot of confidence when the season was permanently shut down for that year to be like, hey, what's the next step for everyone? Because I'm really close to a lot of guys who lost their last year in the OHL. Carter Robertson, Adam McMaster, Sergei Popov, Barrett Kerwin. Those were the guys that were going to come back in Owens. Caleb Pearson, another guy. So 6 players we had on Owen Sound alone that lost the season due to the pandemic. So really close with all of them and constantly talking to them. And I just felt so bad. I'm the type of person, if I can help someone, that I will. So I thought that was kind of my help if I could do something. And I know there's a lot of positive experiences from my showcase, and a lot of people's lives and careers changed. So I couldn't be any happier with the outcome.
I was going to say, speaking of the longtime fan of the Ontario Hockey League, I voiced my opinion, and I really thought the league should have given the overagers another year of eligibility to play because of the pandemic. It wasn't something that was planned on happening. It only happens every 100 years, and I really think they should have made an exception for the overagers so they could finish out their junior careers one more year.
Yeah, it was definitely no one could have expected or predicted any of that to happen. So it was new. It was new. It was just new for everyone. Like, no one really knew what to do as soon as it started. I was just joking around the other day with someone about the 2 week thing when we all thought it was going to be 2 weeks so long ago, and
Yes.
still happening today. So it's been a long journey for a lot of people, and I think it was really hard on a lot of people. So I'm just kind of, for me personally, I was just, how can I not dwell on this and kind of fall into a pit or into a hole of anxiety or depression nowadays is such a such a big topic because it's so, I guess, popular right now. Like, people are constantly coming down with it. So for me, I wanted to work on myself and see like honestly just see what I could do to not only better myself, but better the community around me, better my peers. So I was very fortunate to, like I said, to have an amazing group of people with me and behind me the whole way through everything I did. The letter, Ethan Burrows, really close friend of mine, him and his mother helped me kind of with the confidence side, and his mother proofread it for me because sometimes my grammar could be bad, but uh, he was super supportive of me in doing that, and so were other people as well. Matt Guzda, Mark Woolley, Carter Robertson again. So a lot of dear friends were super supportive of everything I did, and it helped encourage me to put myself out there and do kind of new things in a new time. So I was very happy with everything.
Yeah, with myself during the pandemic, I can't believe we created this podcast during March of 2020. So to me, this has been a career path for me, but it also got me through the tough times where everything was taken away from me. Now I got to ask you this, Andrew. What was it like being on the ice in practice for the first time after the pandemic this season with the Owen Sound Attack? What was it like being with your teammates again, being back on the ice and back in Owen Sound to start the season?
I think the first skate that we had as an entire group, I think we all just like we all like looked at each other and just choked. We're like, "Oh my god, we are here right now!" And a couple guys screamed out in excitement. Like it was it was literally just there's really no way to describe how it felt because everyone just looked at each other and was like, is this a dream right now, or are we actually skating right now in Owen Sound together? So it was amazing, and I bet everyone around the league had that same exact feeling.
Yeah, and I was like that too. Just even doing a preseason game last year, I was so excited to be back in the rink with the Rogers TV and the crew, and being around the Storm players again before the games as well. To me, I appreciate now being at sporting events and doing what I'm doing again, even more than before the pandemic.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't really. My dad's been telling me this since I was 12 years old, but the pandemic really put it into like a huge perspective for me. But he's always told me that um, it can be taken away from the game could be taken away from you in a snap of a finger. So you should always go out and play like it's going to be your last game. And I know people hear that probably all the time. They've probably been told themselves by it, but I think the pandemic and a full season being taken away from you should really it should just definitely open your eyes to that saying for sure when it comes to anything because it could just anything could be taken away from you realistically.
100% agree. This leads to my next question, Andrew. I was going to ask you this. What was it like being an American kid being drafted into the OHL by the London Knights, who are one of the premier franchises in the Canadian Hockey League? And what was that experience like playing in London? I think for 2 years or a year and a half.
Yeah, it was a year and a half. It was crazy when I found out I was going to the London Knights. I mean, it's just such a staple in the hockey community. Like everyone knows who they are, who the coaches are, how they run their organization, the talent that's come out of their organization. So I was deeply honored and humbled to see my name called online when the draft happened. I actually had a game that day, U16 Nationals, but um, I was super honored to be drafted by them. And I just remember going into training camp and just the talent and the players that they had at the time. Victor Mete was still there. He made Montreal that year, but he was at camp. Robert Thomas, Max Jones, Cliff Poo, Sam Militek, just all these Evan Bouchard, all these guys that are playing professional now and not only playing but excelling professionally. So as a 16-year-old, it was very intimidating for sure going into that setting, and you just wanted to be quiet and kind of listen and let everything come to you as slowly as it possibly could, but it was all rushing at you as fast as it possibly could. So um, I just remember it was day to day for like everything. So you walk into like for games. So if you walked into the room after school and your jersey was hanging up, you were in. If it wasn't hanging up, you were out. So I remember for me it was like goal one, getting to preseason game number one, because all I've heard is rookies usually don't play in that game. So I ended up getting into that game. Actually scored a goal off a pass from Robert Thomas, and I know it's preseason, but I'm pretty sure it's the only time I've scored where he's assisted it. So I still count it as a goal because of who assisted it. Uh, but that was goal number one. Then goal number two was start in the first regular season game, and I ended up doing that as well. And just kind of setting these weekly goals for myself and these short-term goals that I wanted to just keep achieving throughout the season. And I learned so much from the staff that entire season, and how important. I mean, that entire season, I learned for me, it was learning how to play defense and juniors, because I was a 16-year-old going against 20-year-olds, NHL draft picks. I mean, Andrei Svechnikov was in the league that year, and he was probably the best player I've ever seen in my life that year for Barrie. And for me, it was just learning how to play defense. So it was super important in my building blocks as a player to play there and have them teach me the proper ways of defense as a young kid.
I was gonna say, was it a little bit intimidating meeting Dale Hunter and Mark Hunter, because they've had such a long career in the NHL and they've been running the Knights since 2000? What was your dealings like with them?
Super positive. Great people, great individuals, super nice people. Um, yeah, they're pretty intimidating as a 16-year-old walking in there. It's very professionally ran. It's everyone says like a mini NHL, and it definitely is, in the sense of the building itself with the fans and how they run their operations and their organization. So um, it was intimidating at first for sure, but as I got more and more comfortable, it it just became natural and every day for me. And um, they were super nice people. They put obviously they own the team as well, so um, put out a lot of money for the team's success. Like they really care about the individuals and put out a lot of money to make sure that we're taken care of in every sense of treatment, equipment, things away from the ice, team meals, Christmas gifts. Where we had Christmas gifts, so it was honestly it was first class for sure there.
I was gonna say, did you have any dealings with Mike Stubbs and Jim Van Horn, the Knights radio guys?
Yes, I love Stubbsy. Stubbsy is the best. He is a amazing person. Helped me out with my showcase. He was one of the first people I texted to if I could come on his show podcast to kind of promote it in the public light. So yeah, Stubbsy's great. Does a great job with the young guys for sure as well. I was young when I was there, and being in front of camera as a 16-year-old for the first time it's definitely scary at first. Your hands are very sweaty, and you're making sure that you don't stutter or say the same thing over and over. So he was definitely uh, very slow with the rookies and very understanding in the sense that we're 16-year-olds and this is very scary.
I was gonna say, I've had Mike on my podcast twice, and Jim Van Horn, and even Greg Sloan, and they've been really great. And Mike's been really supportive of what I'm trying to do as well. And you've been lucky too. You also had Steve Bell and Manny Pava with the Windsor Spitfires, and I believe in Owen Sound, it was Fred Wallace and Mark McKelvey, who's one of my friends, does some work for the Owen Sound Attack as well.
Yeah, I've had amazing announcers. Luckily, I've had announcers that all like me. So when they're announcing the game, and I rewatch it back, everything is positive. So even after I've gotten traded, I've rewatched games back, and after I've gotten traded from London, Owen Sound, it was positive on their end. When I was in Windsor from Owen Sound, it was positive. So that's always a bonus for sure. But no, just great human beings, great individuals. They really take care of that side of the game for the players as well. Like media is definitely very scary nowadays. You can say one wrong thing and your life could be ruined. So they're very understanding that. I mean, even as a 20-year-old this past year in Windsor, like I'm young, I'm growing, I'm learning. I make mistakes. I'm so young still in my life, so they understand that, and they're super understanding and super intelligent in the sense of wording their questions and coming when to interview us, when not maybe to interview us. So I can't thank those individuals enough. And honestly, they all did a wonderful job.
Okay. I have a few more questions. Are you all right for a few more questions, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to check. I had to ask you this too because a lot of fans don't realize this too. You guys are all young men between 16 and 20. How difficult was it when you were told by London they had traded you to the Owen Sound Attack? And what was that experience being like? What was that experience like being traded probably the first time in your life?
It was definitely it was just crazy because you don't get traded in minor hockey, so it was like,
Yeah.
wow, you've been traded. So it's just kind of a little taste of the professionalism in the sport. And as a 17-year-old at the time, it was just kind of a weird feeling. But my dad's from Owen Sound. I've skated there before when I was little, 11, 12, at the rink. I knew Dale DeGray very well. My dad coached there for a couple years, so I was very familiar with the area, the ownership, or the organization itself. And I knew that for me personally, it was the right step in my development, and it's what I needed. So I was nervous for sure going into a new environment because I already did it once, and I felt like I've already gotten past that kind of uh, uncomfortable new feeling that you had when I first got to London. So now I was like, oh, I got to do it again with new people and a new team. So it was definitely a little nervous in that sense, but excited in the sense that I knew in my heart and then in my head that it was the right move for me at the time, individually, for my personal building blocks and development heading down the road. So there's definitely a change of scenery with the home crowd now in London booing you as an away person. So uh, that was different for sure. But both world class organizations, top to bottom, just really take care of their players, really care about the individuals themselves. And there wasn't really anything bad about either organization that I could say that I've had an experience with. It was obviously you have your bad days, like but that's just on ice. That's you
Yep.
have practice, you had a bad game, but nothing where it was anything to do with the organization itself or I was unhappy where I was at. All first class and super supportive. And actually, I starting my year with Owen Sound this year. Uh, I don't the Jordan Hill's the D coach there. Joey Hishon just left, but he was the forward coach. Alan Latang and Greg Walters were my two head coaches, and all of them were just super amazing. I mean, Jordan Hill is the man. He is great. He should be coaching professionally soon, in my opinion. There's so many, like just this year, some of the rookies we had. If you saw them from training camp to at the end of the year, it was just mind blowing what he did in further developments. And when I got to Windsor, as an older guy, Andy Delmore just kind of taking my game to the next level as well. So just everyone super supportive in every organization.
I was going to say the Owen Sound Attack for many years, being a Storm fan and doing camera work. Owen Sound Attack, they might not have always had the most talented lineups, but one thing I always noticed about that franchise over the years is that team, the Attack, was always a hard-working team. They were always difficult to play against.
Yeah, and they still have that same identity to them, including this year. I mean, I didn't think that they would have taken Flint to 7 in the first round, and for them to go that far and to work so hard. I mean, they took us to 7 2 rounds later. So Flint was an amazing team, top to bottom, really well put together. One tip of that, like they could have taken the Western Conference with one shot, one play. So the fact that they took them to 7 first round really shows their integrity and their character as a group and as a whole. Because a lot of people probably wouldn't have thought that they would have done it. Maybe a few that knew them personally, like myself, knew that it was possible, but very unlikely. But just there's the organization is just like never die, like never say never die. Like if 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 we're on the ice, if we're down 5-0, I mean, we still got time on the clock. We're not out of this game. It was kind of the attitude, kind of the underdog type of feel. Definitely just a little old school throwback type of identity as well, with the hard hitting in your face hockey, the never quit, the love going to the dirty areas type of play, standing in front of the net, blocking shots with your face type of uh, cliches that you hear about, but we were doing it in Owen Sound. So we loved that identity. We relished it and we embraced it for sure. And it was awesome. We had a great time.
Okay, and I was going to say just a couple more questions. This one I had to ask you. Thoughts on being traded to Windsor, and thoughts on head coach Mark Savard and the Spitfires coaching staff, and how much of an adjustment was it to fit into the Spitfire system when you got there?
Um, it was It was kind of a comfortable transition being older this time, kind of established in the league. Um, Mark Savard goes back, played with my dad, so kind of had a personal relationship with him before heading there. He knew my dad. They've uh, played together on Oshawa, so my dad knew who he was as a person, as a coach, and knew how smart and intelligent, obviously, he was as a player himself. So could definitely help me progress my game. It was a little bit of a transition period at the beginning with systems. Definitely coming from Owen Sound, there's a little bit of different systems for myself that I had to learn and adjust to. But for the most part, it was super easy transition. They embraced me with open arms, and Bill Bowler actually played with my dad too, and has family connection. So that guy works his ass off for all his players and is super just uh just like the funniest guy ever too. Honestly, his sarcasm is to die for. It's super funny. But no, he is super passionate about the game of hockey and super dedicated to each and every one of his players. I mean, you could go into his office and talk to him at any time about anything, and if you asked him for something, he was writing on his notepad, making sure he put a note of it, and it was done. So from top to bottom, the ownership took care of us. We had a lot of uh, equipment, manager, like everything in that sense was given to us, and really well taken care of. Meals, everything, hotels when we got to playoffs were super nice. So everything top to bottom, the owners were super classy, super nice. Equipment managers, Andy Delmar, Juggy, four coach, so everything, all the coaching staff was perfect. Just a little adjustment period with systems, I would say.
Tremendous organization, and everybody obviously talks about the London Knights, which is well deserved, but the Windsor Spitfires have won 3 Memorial Cups since 2009, and they won back to back, and it's a tremendous organization. So what an honor to be able to play for that franchise as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely super humbled. The organizations I've played for, each of them have their own unique kind of they have their unique sense of first class to them and history to them. I mean, London has a track record of everyone they put in the NHL, winning organization every year, contending every year. Owen Sound, 30. I think they're one of only 3 CHL teams that have 30-plus win seasons for the last 12 years in a row. Windsor, like you said, 3 Memorial Cups since 2009. Remarkable NHLers. Same with Owen Sound, London. So just super humbled to have played for amazing organizations like that are probably world renowned, that you could talk to someone in Europe and they would know who they were and where they are.
Okay. Are you okay for a few more minutes?
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to check. I worry too much, but I was gonna say this one. I had to ask you, what will you miss the most about playing in the Ontario Hockey League, and how did you come about signing a 1 year deal with the American Hockey League's Rockford IceHogs?
One thing I'll miss. Probably will miss. I'll definitely miss the luxury of food and laundry done for me when I have to do that myself, for sure.
Big change.
Yes, for sure. But probably just kind of just like I guess the childish sense of you're still kind of a kid, you're a teenager in the Ontario League, and you can do teenager things and just kind of be silly, be weird and funny, and just kind of do a bunch of those things. But now transitioning into professional, I mean, it was a job before in junior, and that's how I treated it. But it is a job now, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like, you're fighting for your life out there now, or you don't sign next year, or you're sent down for the rest of the year and you're not making as much money. So it's definitely uh, a change in that regard for sure. And it's probably a little bit, I haven't experienced it yet. I've heard it is, but it's probably definitely a little bit more cutthroat professional. Like, if you're not doing the job, you're down. Where in the OHL, you're drafted there. There's nowhere to get sent down to. So you kind of have a little bit of cushion in that regard. So definitely just miss kind of the kid and childish parts for sure the most. And then for signing with Rockford, after the season concluded, just took a couple of days to kind of be with the guys in Windsor. We had a great time after the season ended and hanging out and before we all went off our own way. So and then after that, just communication with my agent, kind of finding out where I was in the sense of for next year and what to do. And he had contacted me about Rockford, said that they really like me, that they're really interested in me, and he likes the organization itself, top to bottom, and it's very classy, first class organization, and uh, just kept communication with him and Rockford, and just was very happy to sign my 1 year deal with them, and very confident that this is the right decision, the right path for me leading forward. And I can't wait to get there, and I can't wait to start.
I was gonna say, and people don't realize how important agents are, especially for players that are just transitioning from the Ontario Hockey League to pro hockey.
Yeah, they you need them for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm just gonna wrap this up. I had to ask you this too. Before a game, do you have a ritual or a favorite pregame meal, and maybe some music you like to listen to?
My favorite pregame meal would be chicken Alfredo for sure. I didn't have a ritual. I mean, I put my left to right on for my gear. Um, it was like, I wasn't superstitious, but I had little things with individual guys. Like me and Daniel D'Amico would pass to each other for one timers at the end of warm up, and we'd high five and then chest bump each other. That was our thing when I got there. Yeah, so just kind of little things like that with each individual guy, but nothing superstitious in the sense that sacrificing any chickens or anything, or if I didn't have if I didn't eat Skittles, I'd have a bad game or something like that. Nothing like that.
Okay. Who was the biggest practical joker on the Spitfires?
uh, I don't think practical joker, but the funniest guy was for sure Michael Renwick. I would always tell him that if there was a road to the OHL championship, like you saw on NBC with Road to the Winter Classic
Yep.
for NHL, that if someone had to be followed around with a camera for 80% of the time for our road to the OHL championship, I hoped it would be him because it would be entertaining for sure. He is one of the funniest people I've ever played with for sure. Awesome and human being too, and first class player and bright future ahead of him as well. So it's kind of just the full package in the sense that can dial it in for a game and score big goals like game 1 in Hamilton overtime, but can also give you a few laughs and a lot of memories and great relationship in the end as well.
And this one I had to ask you too, Andrew. What was your most memorable moment in the OHL? And did you have a favorite OHL arena to play in? Obviously, Budweiser Gardens, Owen Sound, and at the FU or the FCU Center in Windsor. Was there another arena that you particularly liked playing in? And was there one that you kind of dreaded playing in?
My favorite arena to play in was probably, other than home when I moved to the home teams, was probably Erie because that's close to Cleveland for me, and that was kind of a hometown game for me in the sense that I'd always have my friends from high school there. My uncle would always come to that game because he didn't have a passport. So it just a lot of family would come to those games, and they were actually like my best points per game. Like I'd always have a good game against Erie. So when we were in Erie, I'd have a good game, and my family would be in town. So I loved playing there for sure. And then my favorite OHL memory would probably be winning the Western Conference Final this year. That and probably my goal in Game 6 overtime against Flint. I blacked out after I scored that. It was
Wow. That was a hell of a series against Flint too. Sandra Murray had a question or a comment. Any advice for your peers that will be playing overseas this coming season?
kind of just enjoy the moment. I mean, when I was out there, I was at the time the OHL hadn't like canceled their season, so I was every day checking my phone and waiting for something to come from the OHL to get back home, while I was wasting that time thinking about what was back here that wasn't even a for sure yet at the time. I was wasting that energy and my thinking on that when I should have just been in the moment overseas. Like I mean, people go their whole lives and never leave home. So the fact that I was over there and most of my thought was on back home instead of being there and enjoying it, even though it was COVID, a lot of things were shut down. I didn't do much in that sense, but I definitely could have enjoyed my time mentally better over there instead of worrying about what ifs over here. So I'd say if you go over there and you go somewhere amazing, like you should. I've never heard of anyone having a bad experience over in Europe. Like anyone I've played with or trained with here in Cleveland, I train with a bunch of guys who play over there, and they just say it's some of the most beautiful places they go, some of the best foods they eat. So just enjoy it for sure, and don't worry about what ifs or what things you can't control for sure.
I'm going to tell you something. You and Sandra are going to laugh, but I'm 50 years old and I've never even been on an airplane yet.
Well, they're kind of scary, not gonna lie. So my grandpa doesn't go on airplanes either because he's scared of them. Fun.
Yeah, I'm more comfortable with trains, cars, automobiles like the movie. I just airplanes. I should try it once just to see. But I know there was a couple NHL players that had a fear of flying, and one of them was Alexander McGillney, who played for the Sabres and Winnipeg Jets and stuff like that. Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
So I'm going to wrap this up. Andrew, the last question. Any advice for those looking to pursue a career in hockey, sports as an athlete? And where can my audience find you on social media?
If you want to pursue a career in hockey or sports, I would make sure that you love it before you really put time, energy, and money. Because when you first start, it's going to cost money, and it's for sure a huge dedication to throw yourself into something like this. And if you don't really love it, in the end, it's kind of just it will just be a waste, in my opinion. You'll make memories, you'll make relationships, but you'll make them in the sense that you're not at your best person, because you won't be truly happy if you're doing something that you don't love or you're not passionate about. So those relationships will kind of, in a sense, be false or not as true or pure. And those memories, the same concept, because something in your brain is telling you that you're not happy where you're at. So I'd for sure try it. For sure, go out and try every sport. That's what I did. I wanted to play every sport growing up. I wrestled. I played basketball for 1 year. I wanted to do every sport. So, but if you don't really love it, then maybe it's not for you. Maybe something else is for you.
That's great advice. And where can my audience find you on social media if they'd like to follow you?
My Twitter is Andrew Perrott 1, and then my Instagram is Perrott24.
Okay. There's so many social media platforms out there nowadays as well.
I have TikTok, but that's only because I just like to watch. I don't create anything, so TikTok would be pointless.
Oh, I'm on TikTok. This 50-year-old man's on TikTok at Live with CDP. And if you check me out there, you'll see me doing a 40-yard dash at a football stadium. And I beat a guy that was half my age, and I didn't pull any hamstrings or hurt my back at all.
My just golf, like courses and golf like lessons on how to fix your swing. That's my entire page.
Okay. Anyways, Andrew, I kept you over 45 minutes, but hey, I want to say thank you so much for coming on Live with CDP Sports Podcast, Season 4, Episode 23. I would love to have you come back on again, maybe during the season, if that's possible, and just talk about your experience going into the American Hockey League with the Rockford IceHogs and how the season's going, possibly.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Again, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the summer. And all the best to you with Rockford. And I'll be following you on the website, the IceHogs website as well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew. Have a good day.
Thank you. You as well.
Anyways, guys, you can follow Andrew on Twitter at Andrew Perrott 1, and you can also follow him on Instagram as well. And you can also check out the Rockford IceHogs website at icehogs.com as well. So really appreciate Andrew coming on today and talking about his hockey career and also his 5 years with the Ontario Hockey League as well. I want to say thank you to everybody watching this podcast live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and later on my audio platforms as well. Before we go, guys, I'm going to show you a little bit of a clip I meant to show yesterday. It's from the Vancouver Canucks TV station. It's just basically a clip of the late, great John Ashbridge, who was the Canucks' longtime public address announcer before he passed away in 2018. Because one of my guests yesterday, Al Murdoch, is following in the footsteps of the late John Ashbridge. So I just wanted to play a bit of this clip, courtesy of Canucks TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Vancouver Canucks. It just was the voice of God, talking to Canuck fans. And I think anyone who associated or came to Canuck game, or certainly the players, that was just such a familiar, it just made you comfortable. You knew you were at a Canucks game when you heard that voice.
Time of the goal, 1843. We've lost a legend. I know that term is used a lot, but
for fans of hockey and the Vancouver Canucks and broadcasting, and fans of really nice people, we've lost a legend.
As a player, I played over 16 seasons in Vancouver, and certainly got to know John well, and that voice was what everyone recognized when they came in the arena, but not a lot of people knew the man behind the voice. And he was such an amazing person, had just a great sense of humor and cared for people, and just the outpouring of support in the last couple of days has really affirmed what an incredible person he was, and it was a big loss.
You don't replace a John Ashbridge. It's impossible. I think the only thing you can do is to respect and continue the legacy that he created, back in 1987 when he first started this job, and that is what my hope is as I move going forward.
Anyways, guys, that clip was courtesy of the Canucks, and like I said, he did the Canucks games from 87 to 2011, a little bit after that, and then Alan Murdoch is following in his footsteps. So I thought that was a little nice piece they did on Canucks TV as well. Sandra Murray, it's been a pleasure supporting Andrew this year. Looking forward to seeing your professional development. Sandra, thank you so much for putting me in touch with Andrew and Ryan Humphreys and Riley Pitt as well. And your support of my podcast show means a lot to me as well. And as for Ken, thank you for following me on Facebook and social media in my podcast, and I'm glad you liked it as well. Guys, just to let you know, my next Live with CDP podcast, TBA, which means to be announced. I'm going to take probably a week summer break, and hopefully I'll be doing a podcast before August 27th. So yeah, I will let you know on my social media pages when I'm doing my next show, hopefully within a week. I'm just taking a little bit of time off because summer is almost over, and I am planning on going to the CNE for the first time since 1983 this Saturday night, and to see the Toronto Argonauts take Calgary Stampeders on. So I might do a live interview from the CNE and from BMO Field. So stay tuned for that as well. And before I go, guys, I'm going to just show you some work my one friend did. She created a digital business card for me, and I wanted to show it to you right here. And there it is right there. Her name's Martina Burnett. She did a really good job. Special thank you and shout out to my friend Martina Burnett. You can follow her on Twitter at Epic Queen on Twitter for her hard work in my digital and paper business card as well. I thought she did a really great job, and I'm hoping to get a demo done as well of my work doing my podcast shows as well. So I hope you guys can give me feedback on this, but I thought she did a terrific job on this as well. And I'm having some paper business cards printed out today, and I'm hoping by next week to have a demo reel made up so I can start putting them into radio stations across Ontario as well. It's basically a video resume of your work in doing my podcast show as well. So I thought she did a great job as well. And that's about it, guys. Before I go, I usually do this. I'm going to do this again today. But check out Are You Serious Tap and Grill on 130 Silver Creek Parkway, North in Guelph, 519-766-0230, the official pub of Bill's Mafia in Guelph. They have a good beer selection, and they have great antijitos, and also their nachos are delicious as well. So check them out. They're just right off the Highway 6 to Hanlon and Guelph, and good service, good food, and it's a nice little pub, and they do love their sports there, especially their Buffalo Bills. So hope you can check that out as well. And also, guys, before I wrap up my podcast, I do this with all my shows, Live with CDP podcast. The audio version is downloaded to Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, and LinkedIn as well. And also, StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP podcast as well. And I'm also starting to look for some Guelph local some local Guelph area businesses to possibly sponsor Live with CDP podcast as well. And I'm going to have some announcements to make coming up in the next week and a half, 2 weeks about my show in the fall. There's going to be a few changes, and I'm looking forward to it. Not major changes, but little minor changes, and some exciting news I want to share with you guys as well. And you guys can also check me out on TikTok at Live with CDP. And also, I'm on LinkedIn under Chris Pame. If you'd like to follow me on LinkedIn, I'm on there as well, Chris Pame on LinkedIn. So check that out. And I am hoping to get some new podcast shirts made up, hopefully in September. I already have a new design picked out, and the shirts would still be about $15. So if you're interested in getting one of my newly designed podcast shirts in the fall, hopefully September, October, please let me know, because I'd like to get that done as well. And also, guys, you can check me out on wordpress.com/home/live with CDP.wordpress.com and check out some of my digital stories as well as on there as well. That's about it, guys. Again, you can follow Andrew on Instagram and Twitter at Andrew Perrott #1. And you can check out his new team, the Rockford IceHogs .com website there as well. So that's about it for today, guys. Like I said, my next Live with CDP podcast, I'm looking at probably August 27th. I am working on some more guests for the end of August into September. So I'm just going to take probably about a week's off just to enjoy the last week of summer, because fall's coming. And but I will definitely try to post some video digital content from the CNE this week, which I haven't been to a live CNE since 1983. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Argonauts and Calgary Stampeders at BMO Field. The Argonauts are 4-4, coming off a 34-27 loss to the Hamilton Tiger Cats last Friday at Tim Hortons Field as well. And I want to say a shout out to my friend Nick Small, who came on my podcast a week ago. He's one of the Argonauts' top fans and one of the most knowledgeable ones as well. So, and I'm looking forward to going down to Toronto by taking the GO train as well. So less stress as well. So I, again, want to say thank you to my guests this week, Ryan Humphrey, Al Murdoch, and today's guest, Andrew Perrott, for coming on Live with CDP podcast. And this podcast will be available later on audio as well. This is season 4, episode 23, and this is my 188th show since March of 2020. So I've been very lucky, and the guests make a podcast. So again, been very lucky to get great guests and all that. Sandra Murray, thank you again. And Martina Burnett, thank you again for my business digital card that you created for me as well. I hope everybody has a great afternoon and great evening. And we will see you guys in probably about a week's time for another edition of Live with CDP podcast, which would be season 4, episode 24. So again, thank you to Sandra and Ken for watching today, and everybody later on watching on my YouTube channel. Please hit subscribe if you already haven't, and hit like to my videos. And also you can follow me on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Anchor FM, etc. So again, thank you to Andrew Perrott for coming on, and we'll see you guys sometime next week for another edition of Live with CDP Sports Podcast. Have a great afternoon and rest of the week, everybody.